our experts joining us for more. We have Dr. Timothy Okon, who is the managing partner at Teno Energy. We also have Olabode Sowunmi, who is an oil and gas expert. Let's start with you, Dr. Okon, here with us in the studio. Thanks for joining us tonight. We've seen the reactivation of this Port Harcourt refinery, the one in Eleme, being celebrated as a monumental achievement. There's that promise of sort of energy independence here in Nigeria. But we also have critics highlighting the capacity in which this refinery will work. What are your thoughts on that, given Nigeria's energy demands? Are we going to see sort of a shift away from reliance of importation?
I think every additional liter of petroleum products produced is a welcome addition to the stock of petroleum products that are available. So I join the Nigerian people in wishing NNPC well. But from a technical perspective, I think you need to know that they're going through a commissioning phase now. And of course, the contractors that worked on this is the old refinery, as everybody says, and they would have to now integrate it back into the new refinery. The old refinery does not have all the components, and so that process will still be ongoing. But it's a welcome development. I also do know that DEWU is working on Kaduna and Warri. So if you just look at what we'll call the coastal refineries, so you have Dangote and if Warri comes on stream, you now have the old Port Harcourt, and if the entire system comes on stream, so you have all the coastal refineries, then Kaduna. And if you have that, yes, each of these refinery points are like price hubs. What happens is obviously that from that, each of the price hubs, you'll be able to assess what options you have with respect to price. So the more supply is available, the greater the likelihood that the market dynamics would take over completely. And so instead of having one point at which you have some sort of domestic refining, you would now have different points. So the implication for what the markets would do, obviously more supply means that there wouldn't be scarcity. If there is scarcity, prices generally go up with scarcity. But I want to also remark here that the PIA section 205 says that it is the market that controls the price. It's not the diktats of anyone, the market. So the supply chain, the distribution chain needs to work so that there are no hiccups, and therefore, because those will interfere with supply, and of course will impact on prices. Other than that, I think it's a welcome development.
Okay, let me bring in Olabode Sowunmi into this conversation, oil and gas experts. A good place to start would be to ask your initial reaction to this several failed start days, and of course, billions of dollars pumped into turnaround maintenance for this refinery. But how do you react to today's news? And our correspondent just mentioned feeling the pulse of the people around the refinery. They are happy, they are owning the project, and they are expectant of a price drop. But how do we manage public expectations, Olabode? Are we likely to see, is this a perfect instance of the more the merrier, with Dangote on board? This is on board as well, but take it away, your initial reaction, and are we likely to see that price war to the benefits of Nigerians?
Thank you. I think first and fundamentally, we need to look at things for the positive value and not just believe the worst of ourselves. So we have a project which has not been functional for a few decades or a number of years, so to speak, and it's functioning. So that's good news. That should be good news to anyone. Now, the probability that something can happen, can happen to anything, even somebody can fall dead. But so people should at least feel fine and be comfortable with the good news and celebrate the good news for whatever it is. There is also a part of not just the immediate value of a project like this, but the long-term value, that is in terms of the short-term and the long-term value. So you are going to have more people who are going to be employed at that place. You are going to have vendors who are going to supply services from cleaners to janitors to even food vendors who are going to supply things there. So there's going to be economic activity around that place. So those values also need to be looked into. In terms of what you are calling a price war, I mean, that may not be the right word for it. It's actually a competitive market. So when you're talking about a free market enterprise, it allows for as many entrants as possible and as many people for the consumer to be the benefit. Because what many refineries will do is to ensure that Nigerians get a cost-reflective price. In other words, you are not going to have any particular provider being able to shortchange Nigerians by particularly putting in a margin that is not realistic in terms of pricing. So those are fundamentals that are in place. So I think whichever way you look at it, it is good news all the way. And I think people should be happy about it, just like the residents are.
Great, Mr. Sowunmi. Dr. Okon here with us. I just wanted your thoughts on this expectancy of a reduction of pump price for Nigerians. You touched a little bit on it when you spoke about how, yes, we have another refinery working, but it has to do with a lot of other factors, how smooth is distribution and so on and so forth. So what are your thoughts on that? Should we expect that very soon or in the much for the future?
Well, I think if you look at what is available now for supply, we have not been able let's take PMS. We have not been able to meet what is the domestic demand. And so you would have to attain that domestic demand and sustain it over time before you begin to see some price effects. And I think the way the market functions is that if you look at, I talked about the coastal refineries and then one refinery in Kaduna. If we can get the system to function, there will be what we call zones of perfect competition. So if you just take concentric cycles around each of those locations, there will be points at which those concentric cycles come together and you would have a choice. So those perfect competition would be where I have a choice to choose whether to take my products from Kaduna or to take it from Lagos or to take it from Warri or to take it from Port Harcourt when you look at the distribution of those concentric cycles. So yes, prices will be impacted when, one, in particular, we have attained, that is lower prices now. When we have attained domestic demand. Demand is we can produce what we have and even excess, and then there will be competition for the next, what we'll call the next liter at the margin. Yeah. And that's what would happen. But good news all the way, and my congratulations to the people of Nigeria that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, we can take all the good news we can get at this time. Mr. Sowunmi, let me bring you back into this conversation. There's an elephant in the room. Crude supply is still an issue. Now we are meeting domestic refinery. I mean, a combination of both Dangote and this will bring us to maybe 1 million barrels per day. But where is the crude going to come from? You know, that's still an issue. There are some analysts who say the lack of investment in the deep waters offshore assets has also, you know, heightened that issue of crude supply. So where is the crude going to come from? Are we positioned to ensure steady supply of crude for these refineries to keep working?
So the question is, are we positioned for steady supply? In terms of positioning, yes. In terms of immediate, there may be a few challenges. But it's a journey. So while we look at the challenges that are immediate and the issues, the imperfections that we face, we need to also see it as something that can be overcome. So you don't solve a problem by looking at all the possible problems before making a movement. So NNPC itself has challenged itself with respect to increasing crude oil production. I think a couple of days ago, there was some news in the media with respect to increase in production. We expect to hear things like that in the next couple of months or in the short and medium term. The point is, there's refining capacity. So whether the crude comes in from Nigeria or it is imported, there is refining capacity. But overall, irrespective of whether we are able to meet the local content, in the long term, we will produce enough crude that will be used by the refinery. So in terms of the energy sustainability and the energy security that we have been mounting over our time, this is a significant step in achieving that. So on the long run, yes, there will be crude supply.
It's definitely a significant step. Let me just come back to you, Dr. Okon. President Tinubu, we just spoke about, is pushing for the prompt reactivation of all the other refineries, Warri, Kaduna. Based on some of the delays, challenges faced in Port Harcourt, what sort of lessons can be learned to ensure that these other projects avoid similar setbacks? And what sort of role does government policy play when it comes to ensuring that these efforts that we're seeing translate into tangible economic benefits for Nigerians? Because we're all singing good news, but if the average Nigerian on the street is not benefiting, then what are we doing?
Okay, if I understand your question is, every project, especially complex projects like rehabilitating moribund refineries, can go through. It's a bit like fixing, taking a ship to a place where you actually take a look at beneath the bow of the ship. There may be surprises. So part of the challenge of Port Harcourt was simply that you have a 1963 refinery that quite a lot of the equipment had basically needed to be replaced and reworked. So this wasn't turnaround maintenance. It became really refurbishing an old refinery. So similarly, I think they was a construction company of repute, and they would have to do what needs to be done, and they handle those surprises where they occur. Remember, these are technical items, pipes rust, things go amiss, and those need to be fixed. There's also another factor. The factor is when you have projects like that, and the issue is the cost, having the money to pay for these repairs. You may argue that one of the reasons behind subsidy removal is essentially so that you can raise enough money to actually pay for this work that needs to be done. And I think that will be a pointer to at least getting those projects done. I think the third consideration is simply staying focused on getting things done in a systematic manner. And I think these are complicated projects. They're billion-dollar projects, and you have to put them in the hands of those who know how to work them. Those are the challenges, but they're not insurmountable.
Okay, I do apologize, Mr. Sowunmi, but we have to go in 10 seconds if you can. I do apologize again for the brevity of time. But in 10 seconds, I mean, the jinx has been broken. Your final words on this?
I think Nigerians should celebrate. I mean, if there's a word in 10 seconds, it's that we should celebrate and expect the best.
Great. What a fantastic way to wrap it up. Thank you so much. Dr. Timothy Okon is the managing partner at Teno Energy, and Olabode Sowunmi, who says we should all celebrate. Very optimistic. Mr. Sowunmi is an oil and gas expert. We do appreciate your time, gentlemen. Well, it's time for a short break. When we return, we have more for you on Newsnight. Stay with us.